thank you, Cesar, for kind of.
And I totally agree with what you're saying. Another thing too to point out is when you're applying to colleges, a lot of times you got to think, and it helped me too to work on that. Help with my essay is why should we accept you? And in a sense, maybe it's a different approach, but maybe the college can look at it as college thinking, how do we benefit by adding you to our student body? What can you benefit to the community as a whole? So that's something important to highlight, characteristics you may have in different aspects of your life throughout your life. Maybe that's something you can help to improve the student body as well. So it's a whole entire, that's the academics, it's your entire college life that you want to highlight and what you want to make of it and how you can see yourself perhaps doing that.
No, for sure. That's a great point. So, you work actually as part of the admissions office. You kind of have a different, unique perspective, more so than just a current student, but you're also kind of like behind the scenes a little bit. Are there any kind of takeaways that you've seen over the past year or the past year and a half that you've been involved with them that you kind of see patterns emerging and you think would be helpful for people on the outside looking in to know?
Sure. Well, at Harvard, with Harvard specifically, and maybe other Ivy Leagues, all Ivy Leagues, I can see it with families and with students, and they're all different, but a general pattern is, it is overwhelming, very overwhelming, and sometimes it's hard to put a face and a person to the school. It becomes a brand. And so that is tough. I think what's really important is you've got to find that person. You've got to get a connection with who make up this school, who make it up. And so that's why I'm glad where I work there is, looking back, I'm glad that I communicated to an extent with Harvard, or maybe to a high extent. And I think that's important to do, especially, and that's why I think Ivy Ally is a great resource, because it puts a face to the name. And so I think that's really important to do, and to realize that we're all people in this, and we all have the same goals. And I think when you realize that that support is there, like-minded individuals, it's really encouraging to do. And so I really enjoy my job. I enjoy giving informational sessions and tours and answering questions from students. And once they get comfortable talking to me, that kind of boosts their confidence to apply too, because we find a lot of similarities in each other. And I'm a student as well, which makes it a lot better. And I'm not one who's going to be judging. I'm just basically sharing what happens here. So I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think a common sentiment, I know for me when I was applying to Penn, it almost seemed too ideal. Like it was like out of my reach almost. And like you, I came from a small city. I came from Topeka, Kansas, and no one really was reaching for those schools. And I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier about finding your support group and having that encouragement to just, take the plunge. Be open about it, do everything you can, and make it work. So I think that's all really sound advice. Before we leave from the application process in general, is there any last tip, last piece of advice that you would want a senior who's watching this right now to really take away and do?
Absolutely. There is nothing to be lost by applying whatsoever. And don't fear disappointment. I think regardless of whatever happens at the end of the application process, you can find yourself to be a lot stronger of a person, and you get a lot more confidence in yourself. Just because applying to an Ivy League, whatever Ivy League it is, you come out a stronger person. And it's quite a goal itself to do, just to apply. So I would definitely encourage everyone, regardless to any kind of hesitations, just go for it. I like to live life without regrets, and so I think doing so, there's nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose by applying.
Great. No, thank you, Cesar, excuse me. Okay, so let's, so you went through the application process, you tackled some outside demons, you really were able to show why you deserve to be accepted. You got accepted, you ended up picking Harvard, and you walk onto campus first day. You weren't able to visit before. Coming from North Dakota, bring us to that moment. What were you thinking? What surprises did you have? maybe let's do that. What expectations did you have, and then what surprises did you have?
Great. Yeah, that's a pretty. Yeah, sure. Quite a lot of expectations I did have. Mostly fear, a little terrified. Just the fact that I had gotten a letter from Harvard in general was a big deal. I mean, I think my post office was a little. They was interesting. So I mean, I was terrified. I really was. And, I mean, I'm glad I had the conversation with people from Harvard, but I still didn't have direct contact with people, with the exception of the interview itself. And going there the first day, it was a little overwhelming. I know what I wanted personally, but I wasn't completely ready to fully embrace it. And so I recall the first week we were here, we had a convocation ceremony where all freshmen congregated in Harvard Yard. And it was basically just like a procession, just like commencement. All the president, the deans came, and we all were seated together. They spoke at the front. And I recall President Faust saying to, what I got out of the entire thing was just go out of that comfort zone. And when I got to, so that was really helpful to hear that from her personally. And so before getting there, I was expecting utter geniuses and completely not belonging. And being that North Dakotan who had, yeah, I mean, it was just, I really had so many expectations. It's hard to put into words, really.
You were really almost hesitant with the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's hard to put it into words what it was. It was tough. I mean, the first day moving in, I mean, to me, I felt like it really depends on what happens on this first day if I get there. How is it going to go? Is this a big mistake? What was I getting myself into? And when I got there, completely changed. And I got to have faces to the school. I got to meet my classmates, my roommates, and it completely changed everything for me. It helped boost my confidence. And I got to learn that we're all people. Everybody's the same here. I mean, regardless, some may have higher ACT scores or what have you, but they all the same. They've all overcame something in their life, regardless to whatever degree it is. They had to overcome something, whether it be peer pressure from home or personal family things, such as my. Me and really boosted confidence, I think, and so that was helpful.
Yeah, I lost you out a little bit. The video kind of chopped up, but you were basically saying that once you arrived into school, you were able to see individuals, put a face to the brand, and realize that, like you, they all went through things. Okay, can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was just saying your video cut out a little bit, and I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying. Basically, once you arrived onto campus, you were able to put a face to the brand and realize that, like me, everyone else has their difficulties, and everyone else isn't quite perfect, and you're able to relate to a bunch of people on that level.
That's the whole thing, is I expected perfection before I even got there, and I just realized I'm not perfect, and this is going to be quite a hard thing for me to live with people who are perhaps perfect and who just have it pretty well made for themselves, and that wasn't necessarily the case. And I think I realized that it's because of my experience and everybody else's experiences here. That's how they became who they are, and so that was really helpful for me to realize that what I'm going through. So did the other 6,000 students here at Harvard.
No, that's a great point. And looking back, I think I fell in that same trap. A lot of self-doubt. Just because I went to a public school, and